Friends, we are here today to remember the life and times of the Supergraphics. A life cut tragically short at the age of just 20 months. The Supergraphics is survived by its library of 5 games, the youngest of which is 1941 Counterattack. You might remember the youthful days of the Supergraphics, when it was introduced as a new, enhanced version of the PC Engine for the 1989 holiday season. A second graphics chip gave it so much promise. But the Supergraphics remembered its roots and remained backwards compatible with its PC Engine parent. It didn't take long, though, before chronic illness overtook the Supergraphics. A chronic lack of games with a single title in its library for the first 5 months prevented it from finding the customers that it desperately needed. It's a tragedy when a parent outlives its child, but the PC Engine is still going strong. In fact, it's expecting a new member of the family in just a month's time, and hopefully it will do better than its Supergraphics sibling. And now let us take a look at the finale of the Supergraphics, 1941 Counterattack. The second Supergraphics game where Hudson made a port of a Capcom arcade game. That arcade game is the 4th game in the 1940 whatever series, which confusingly goes 1942, 1943, 1943 Kai, and then 1941. And fortunately, I don't have to talk about where the series naming convention goes from here. There were some problems with the release of 1941 Counterattack. Not technical problems, business ones. The Supergraphics was such a sales disaster that systems weren't even available at the point that 1941 Counterattack was released. The game was printed in absolutely minuscule quantities, and even in the 90s, it was one of the ultra-rare holy grails for PC Engine collectors. These days, a copy will easily top 100,000 yen for you. And just poking around for prices right now myself, there weren't many copies under 150,000 yen. And because the Supergraphics version was the only home port of the game until Capcom Arcade Stadium, which is what I used to capture the arcade footage earlier, it led to a weird situation where fans of the series would buy the arcade PCBs because they were more affordable than the Supergraphics version. Now you might be asking yourself, if this game is set in 1941, then how does the Japanese shoot-'em-up series all about Americans shooting down Japanese pilots in World War II work? They'd only have 3 weeks after December 7th to defeat all of the Japanese military, after all. Well, good news, because 1941 takes place in the other theater of operations. Now, what American pilots are doing there, attacking the German military, when the game is clearly not set after December 8th, when the US declared war on Germany, well, I'm afraid it's just more shoddy historical accuracy from the 1940X series. Why, on Stage 2 they have you sinking the Bismarck, but it's not even in the North Sea, and the Bismarck doesn't have its distinctive deck markings. And that's not even getting into all of the problems with the V2 on Stage 3. Capcom really needs a historian on staff to take care of these things. 1941 consists of 6 stages, and as soon as you begin the game, you might notice a bit of a difference in them. Not if you played it in the Japanese arcade, though. When 1941 was released to US arcades, there were heavy modifications made to the game, including rearranging the order of the stages. The Supergraphics version of 1941 is very accurate to the Japanese arcade version. So if you have warm memories of playing it in a US arcade, just get ready for something different if you choose to play this. 2 things are changed from the Japanese arcade version of 1941. First, the aspect ratio of the screen, though Hudson did shrink things down a little bit horizontally to make it fit a little bit better. And second, the 2-player mode no longer offers a different plane. Player 1 is a P-38 Lightning, something you can always recognize by that distinctive double tail design. Player 2 flies a de Havilland Mosquito, which I guess means 1941 is a joint US-British operation. In the arcade, these 2 planes flew differently. The Mosquito was slower, but had a more powerful gun. In the Super Graphics version, both planes fly exactly the same, and the default gun is identical. You can just play as the Mosquito if you really want the plane to look different. You can hit run on the second player controller and jump right in like that. Like other games in the 1940X series, power-ups are revealed by shooting down formations of red planes. And there's really only 3 different types of power-ups for you to worry about now. There are weapon power-ups that drop, and sometimes these will rotate through different styles of weapons, but early on they'll remain the same one. Collecting one will give you that weapon for 60 seconds, and if you collect another copy of that weapon, you'll get another 60 seconds, although the maximum time is 99 seconds. You can get a machine gun that does more damage, missiles that augment your attack by shooting out to the side and flying up, and a beam weapon with a long, thin attack that does extra damage. For some reason, the pickup for the beam attack looks like a pair of missiles, and the pickup for the missiles looks like a pod with an energy thing inside it. I feel like somebody got the graphics backwards for those two. For the options, and by that I mean the little small things that also shoot, there are 2 formations. If you pick up the one that looks like a solid plane, then you'll get 2 little guys who fly in at your side and shoot up at an angle. And if you get the one that looks like a couple of ghost images, then you'll have some little ghost planes trailing very closely behind you and firing forward. The side options can be shot down if they get hit twice, but the ghost ones will stay. All of the options last until the end of the stage, and then you'll start the next level flying on your own. And then there are the POWs and Yashichi. These restore 1 shield point to your plane, and the shields in 1941 require a little bit of explanation. When it comes to protecting you from bullets and collisions, they work the way that you'd expect them to. You take a hit, you lose a point, get hit when the shields are all gone, and you die. You only have 1 life, and so that's game over, but you also get 3 continues. And continuing will put you right back exactly where you were. You even get to keep all of your power-ups. If you hit button 1, then you'll consume one of your shield units, your plane will do a flip, and you'll destroy everything on the screen. So this shouldn't be used when you're going to take damage, because you're going to take damage by doing it. Instead, it's best saved for certain intense moments, and when you know that there's a recharge coming up. The POW restores 1 block of shield energy, and the Pinwheel Yashichi restores all of them. You start out with 3 points of shields, but doing well on a stage means you could get promoted, and promotions sometimes bring with them an extra point of life. If you are perfect on a stage, shooting down every single thing, then your maximum health bar increases by 3. Or 2 if you do it on the first stage. I found it most useful to keep my main gun on auto fire. You can charge a shot. At full strength, you'll unleash a barrage of missiles that will have some limited homing ability, and you don't even have to charge it up all the way. Every quarter of the bar gives you a few more missiles. Thing is, I personally didn't find the missiles to be that useful except in certain very specific locations. Shooting down enemy planes is your primary defense, and you're giving that up to charge some shots that don't do any extra damage. There was another move that I found more useful in situations where I needed to hit enemies in hard-to-reach locations. Most of the stages in 1941 are bounded by walls, and you don't take damage if you crash into a solid wall like that. Instead, your plane spins around in a circle for a moment, shooting in all directions. While you do have to have something to run into in order to activate this ability, I usually found it a lot easier to trigger in tight situations. Of course, while you're spinning your shots, you're also making extra openings, but that's an easier trade-off for me to deal with. While 1941 Counterattack definitely has its fans in Japan, you'll have to search pretty far for them. The game just wasn't available for people, and it was remembered as one of the lesser 1940X games anyways. The big complaint that people had about 1941 was that the stages were designed around enemies coming at you from all directions. There aren't any generally safe areas, and the only option is to memorize the stage. But once you've done that, it's also kind of an easy game. The bosses are simple and straightforward. The levels are really depending on you not knowing what's coming up and hitting you from blind sides. It gives the game a bit of a weird difficulty curve. And so my own feeling on 1941 Counterattack is this is a good port, and it is a good shoot 'em up, but not one of the must-plays. If you skipped it, you're not really missing out on anything. Well, except paying 150,000 yen.